I came home early and found 2 glasses of wine, but I don't drink red. Hi everyone! Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together, we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. I never thought I'd be the woman writing this kind of story. I always believed we were different, that our marriage was solid, that my husband was one of the good ones. We weren't the type to have dramatic fights or passionate reconciliations. We were comfortable, steady, safe. I met Marcus 12 years ago at a friend's barbecue. I wasn't looking for anyone. I'd just gotten out of a messy relationship and was perfectly content being single. But Marcus had this quiet confidence about him that drew me in. He wasn't flashy or loud. He didn't try to impress me with stories or swagger. He just stood by the grill, flipping burgers, and when our eyes met, he smiled this genuine, warm smile that made me feel like I was the only person there. We talked for hours that day, about books, about our families, about the places we wanted to travel. He was a financial advisor, which sounds boring, but the way he talked about helping people secure their futures was actually endearing. He cared. He listened. When I mentioned I was terrible with money, he didn't judge. He offered to help me set up a budget, which somehow turned into our second date. Our relationship developed slowly, naturally. There were no fireworks or grand gestures. We just fit. He made me laugh without trying too hard. I made him try new things he would have never done on his own. We balanced each other. Within a year, we'd moved in together. Within 2, we were married in a small ceremony with just close friends and family. The first few years of marriage were exactly what I'd hoped for. We bought a house in a quiet neighborhood, the kind with tree-lined streets and people who waved when you drove by. Marcus converted the spare bedroom into a home office where he worked late sometimes, but never too late. I had my marketing job that I mostly enjoyed, and we had our routines. Friday nights were for cooking together. He'd open a bottle of white wine. I've never liked red. Something about the taste always made me grimace. And we'd try new recipes we found online. Saturdays we'd sleep in, have lazy morning sex, then spend the day doing errands or working on house projects. Sundays were for meal prep and bad TV. It was ordinary. It was predictable. It was ours. We weren't one of those couples who posted constantly on social media or needed to tell the world how much we loved each other. We just existed together, comfortably, without drama. Our friends sometimes joked that we were like an old married couple, even though we were still in our 30s. I took it as a compliment. Drama was exhausting. I'd had enough of it in previous relationships. What Marcus and I had was better. It was real, sustainable, built to last. Looking back now, I wonder when things started to change. Or maybe they didn't change at all. Maybe I was just blind to what was always there. The first time I noticed something was about 6 months ago. Marcus had always worked normal hours, left around 8, home by 6. But suddenly, he started staying late more often. "Big client," he'd say when I'd text asking when he'd be home. "You know how it is." I did know. I worked in an office too. People had busy seasons, so I'd save him a plate. And when he came home at 8 or 9, he'd heat it up, kiss my forehead, and tell me I was the best. I believed him. Then there were the weekends when he'd get calls and have to handle something urgent. He'd disappear into his office, and I'd hear his voice through the door low, almost secretive. When I asked about it later, he'd wave it off. "Just a nervous client. You know how people get about their investments." His phone became a fixture in his hand. Not in an obvious way, but I noticed. He'd be scrolling while we watched TV, smiling at something, then clicking the screen off when he caught me looking. "Work stuff," he'd say. "Must be pretty funny for work stuff," I'd reply, trying to keep it light. He'd laugh it off, pull me close, kiss my hair. "Just a meme one of the guys sent. Want me to show you? Nah, it's fine. And it was fine. Or I told myself it was fine. Because Marcus wasn't the type to cheat. He was steady, loyal, boring in all the best ways. He was the guy who still held my hand when we walked, who remembered to pick up my favorite coffee on Saturday mornings, who kissed me goodbye every day before work. The doubts were easy to dismiss. I was being paranoid. I was projecting my past relationship trauma onto him. I was reading too much into normal behavior. Everyone looked at their phones. Everyone worked late sometimes. Everyone had private conversations. About 2 months ago, I suggested we go out for dinner, just the two of us. We hadn't done that in a while, and I missed it, missed feeling like we were still dating, still choosing each other. This weekend? Marcus asked, not looking up from his laptop. Yeah, Saturday maybe? That Italian place you like? Oh, I can't this Saturday. I have that thing. What thing? He glanced up briefly. I told you about it. Networking event. For work. On a Saturday night? Yeah, it's one of those after-hours things. You know how these finance guys are. They don't want to do breakfast meetings. He smiled at me. But we can do Sunday brunch instead. How's that? Sure, Sunday works. Sunday came, and he was exhausted from the networking event. He'd gotten in late, he said, and just wanted to relax at home. So we ordered takeout and watched a movie, and I told myself it was fine. Quality time was quality time, even if it wasn't what I'd envisioned. But the pattern continued. Every time I suggested we do something together, just us, there was a reason it couldn't happen. A work thing, a client dinner, a colleague's birthday. He'd promise we'd do it soon, and I'd believe him. And then soon would come, and there'd be another reason. I started paying more attention. Not in a suspicious way, or at least I didn't think of it that way. I was just noticing things, like how he'd started showering as soon as he got home, even when he was only coming from the office. How he'd started caring more about his appearance, new shirts, a nicer watch, cologne I didn't recognize. You smell good, I said one morning as he was leaving. Thanks. Got a new cologne. You like it? It's nice. What's the occasion? He shrugged. No occasion. Just thought I'd try something new. New cologne. New attention to his appearance. Later nights at the office. More time on his phone. These things alone meant nothing. Together, they whispered something I didn't want to hear. I mentioned it to my best friend Lauren over lunch one day. Casually, like it wasn't eating at me. Marcus has been working a lot lately, I said. Oh yeah? Busy season? I guess. He's just different, more distracted, always on his phone. Lauren raised an eyebrow. Have you asked him about it? Yeah, he says it's work stuff, client stuff. And you believe him? Why wouldn't I? She gave me a look that said more than words could. Jen, I'm not saying Marcus is doing anything wrong, but if something feels off, trust your gut. My gut is probably just my anxiety making shit up. Or your gut is trying to tell you something. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to be the paranoid wife who checks her husband's phone or interrogates him about his whereabouts. That wasn't who I was. That wasn't who we were. But the seed was planted, and once you start questioning things, it's hard to stop. I noticed he'd changed his phone password. We'd never been the type to have open device policies or anything, but he used to just use his thumbprint, and I knew his code for emergencies. Now, when I glanced over, he'd type in a longer sequence of numbers. When I asked about it casually, he said his bank had recommended stronger security after some client got hacked. Makes sense, I said. It did make sense. It was logical. There was a reasonable explanation for everything. The Friday before everything changed, Marcus told me he had another late work thing. It's Andrew's retirement party, he said. You know Jerry Andrews? I've mentioned him. I don't think so. Well, anyway, it's at this bar downtown. Should be done by 10 or so. Want me to come? I asked, even though I knew what he'd say. Nah, it's just boring work people. You'd be miserable. Why don't you have a girls' night or something? So I called Lauren, and we got Thai food and watched a romantic comedy at her place. When I got home around 11, Marcus still wasn't back. I texted him, "Home yet? Just leaving now. Be there soon." He walked in at midnight, smelling like beer and that new cologne. "How was it?" I asked from the couch. "Good." Jerry got pretty emotional in his speech. He kissed my forehead. "I'm beat. Heading up." "Okay. Love you." "Love you too." He was up the stairs before I could say anything else. I heard the shower turn on, and I sat there in the dark living room, wondering why I felt so uneasy. He'd been at a work party. He smelled like a bar. Everything checked out. But something felt wrong, and I couldn't name it. The following Tuesday was when everything fell apart. I had a full day of meetings scheduled, but our 2 o'clock canceled at the last minute. My boss told me to take the afternoon off. I'd been putting in extra hours anyway, and it was a slow week. I texted Marcus, "Getting off early, want to meet for lunch?" No response. I tried calling, voicemail. He was probably in a meeting. That was fine. I'd just surprise him at home. Maybe I'd pick up groceries and make a nice dinner. Maybe we could actually spend an evening together without distractions. I drove home through the quiet Tuesday afternoon streets, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The sun was out, the radio was playing a song I liked, and I had an unexpected afternoon off. I'd pick up ingredients for his favorite meal, open a bottle of wine, and we'd reconnect. I pulled into our driveway at 2:30. Marcus's car was there, which surprised me. I thought he'd be at the office. Maybe he was working from home today and forgot to tell me. I grabbed my bag and walked up to the front door, already planning what I'd say. "Surprise! I got off early. Want to take a break and have lunch with me?" I turned my key in the lock and pushed the door open. And I froze. The house was dim, curtains drawn in the middle of the day. There was music playing, soft jazz, the kind we used to listen to when we first started dating but hadn't put on in years. And there was a smell in the air wine and something else. Perfume. Not mine. My heart started pounding. I stepped inside slowly, quietly, and that's when I saw it. The coffee table in the living room had been cleared. In its place were 2 wine glasses, both half full of red wine. Deep, dark red. The kind I never, ever drank. I stared at those glasses like they were evidence at a crime scene. One had a lipstick mark on the rim, a shade I didn't own, wouldn't wear. Berry-colored, dramatic. The other glass was clean. There were 2 plates on the table, too. Cheese, crackers, grapes artfully arranged. Like someone had tried to set a romantic scene. My legs felt like they might give out. I looked around the room in a daze. There, on the back of the armchair, a scarf. Black, silk, expensive-looking. Not mine. I didn't own anything like it. The music played on, soft and mocking. Some crooner singing about love and devotion. My mind raced through explanations. Maybe Marcus had a client over. Maybe they were discussing something that required wine and cheese. Maybe the scarf belonged to a colleague who'd forgotten it. But even as I grasped for these explanations, I knew they were lies. Financial advisors don't meet clients at home. They don't set mood lighting and play jazz. They don't drink wine in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. I moved like I was underwater, everything slow and surreal. I walked past the living room toward the stairs. Each step felt like it took an hour. And then I heard it. Laughter, soft, feminine, coming from upstairs, from our bedroom. Then Marcus's voice, low and murmuring. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew that tone. I'd heard it 1,000 times, that intimate, affectionate tone he used when we were alone together. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. I should have left. I should have turned around and walked out and never looked back. But I couldn't. I had to know. I had to see it with my own eyes, because my brain refused to process what was happening. I climbed the stairs, each creak of the wood sounding like a gunshot in my ears. The bedroom door was ajar, and I could see movement through the crack. Shadows on the wall. I stood outside that door for what felt like an eternity, my hand raised to push it open, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my chest. And then I heard her say his name. Marcus. Breathy, satisfied. His response was a low laugh. Then, "We should probably get dressed. She'll be home soon." The room tilted. My vision went dark at the edges. Me. He was talking about me, timing his affair around my schedule. I pushed the door open. The scene I saw will be burned into my memory forever. Marcus, shirtless, frozen halfway through putting his pants back on. And a woman I'd never seen before, young, maybe 25, with dark hair and perfect skin clutching our bedsheet to her chest, her eyes going wide with shock. For a moment, nobody moved. We just stood there in this horrible tableau. The wife, the husband, the mistress. Then Marcus found his voice. "Jen. Oh my God. Jen, this isn't... Don't!" The word came out calm, cold, nothing like the screaming chaos inside my head. "Do not tell me this isn't what it looks like." The girl started crying. Actually crying, like she was the victim here. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. I thought..." "Get out," I said, still calm, still cold. "Get dressed and get out of my house." "Jen, please, let me explain." Marcus stepped toward me, and I stepped back like he was toxic. "Don't touch me. Don't come near me." He stopped, his face crumpling. "It's not what you think. It was a mistake." I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to my own ears. "A mistake? That's what you're going with? A mistake that involved buying wine I don't drink, setting a romantic scene in our living room, and fucking someone in our bed?" The girl was scrambling to get dressed, pulling on clothes with shaking hands, mascara running down her face. She looked young and scared and guilty, and I felt absolutely nothing for her. No anger, no jealousy, just a hollow emptiness. "How long?" I asked Marcus. "Jen, how long?" He closed his eyes. 4 months. 4 months, a third of a year. All those late nights at the office, the networking events, the client dinners, the shower as soon as he got home, the new cologne, the changed password. It had all been real, and I dismissed every single red flag. "Is she the only one?" I asked. He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "Oh my God!" I backed up against the hallway wall. "There have been others." "It's not like that." "How many, Marcus? How many women have you fucked in our bed while I was at work?" "She's the only one I've brought here," he said, like that was supposed to make it better. "The others, it was just..." "I don't want to hear it." I turned away, bile rising in my throat. "I don't want to hear your explanations, or your excuses, or your apologies." The girl pushed past me, fully dressed now, her heels clicking on the hardwood as she ran down the stairs. I heard the front door open and close. Then silence. Marcus stood in front of me in our bedroom, his pants half-zipped, no shirt, his hair messed up from her hands. He looked pathetic. He looked like a stranger. "Jen, please. We can work through this. I love you." "Don't you dare say that to me. Don't you dare." "I do. I love you. These things, they don't mean anything. They're just physical. They're just..." "Just what? Just a way to pass the time? Just something to do when you're bored with your wife?" "No, God, no. You have to understand." "I don't have to understand anything." My voice was rising now, the cold calm cracking. "I don't have to listen to you try to justify cheating on me for months. For months, Marcus. While I was here thinking everything was fine, thinking we were solid, you were out fucking other women." "I'm sorry," he said. And he was crying now too, tears running down his face. "I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted you to find out like this." "You never wanted me to find out at all. That's the point. You were perfectly happy to keep lying to me forever." "No, I was going to tell you. I swear. I was going to end it." "When? When were you going to end it?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you were having a great time juggling your wife and your girlfriend, and God knows who else." He reached for me again, and this time I shoved him away. "Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again." I turned and walked down the stairs. My body was moving on autopilot now, pure adrenaline keeping me upright. I went to the living room and stared at those 2 wine glasses again. The lipstick print seemed to mock me. Marcus followed me down, pulling on a shirt. "Where are you going?" "Away from you." "Jen, please, can we just talk about this? Can we—" "There's nothing to talk about." I grabbed my purse, my keys. "You cheated, for months. That's not a conversation. That's a deal breaker." "Don't do this. Don't throw away 12 years over a mistake." I whirled on him. "This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill or saying the wrong thing. This was a choice. Multiple choices. Hundreds of choices. Every time you texted her instead of me. Every time you lied about working late. Every time you came home and kissed me with her perfume still on you. Those were all choices. I know I fucked up, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I don't want to fix this. I want to never see you again." His face crumpled completely then. "You don't mean that." "I absolutely mean it. Jen, please, please don't leave. I love you. I've always loved you. This is just, I made a mistake, but our marriage is worth fighting for." "Our marriage?" I laughed bitterly. "We don't have a marriage. We have a lie. We have 12 years of me thinking I knew you, trusting you, building a life with you, while you were building a completely different life behind my back. That's not fair." "Fair?" My voice broke. "You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I came home excited to surprise you with dinner? Is it fair that I found another woman's scarf on my furniture and her lipstick on a wine glass? Is it fair that my husband has been fucking other people in our bed?" He didn't have an answer for that, I looked around the living room, at the couch where we'd spent countless evenings, at the photos on the walls of our wedding and our vacations, at the life we'd built together, and I felt nothing but disgust. "I'm going to stay with Lauren tonight," I said. "Don't call me. Don't text me. I'll figure out what to do about the house and everything else when I'm ready to deal with you. Until then, stay away from me." "Jen, I mean it, Marcus. If you love me at all, if you ever loved me, you'll give me space." I walked to the door, and he didn't try to stop me. I think he knew there was no point. I think he saw in my face that something had broken that couldn't be fixed. I got in my car and drove. I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. I was beyond crying. I was numb, empty, hollowed out. I drove to Lauren's apartment and knocked on her door, and when she opened it and saw my face, she just pulled me inside and held me. "What happened?" she asked. "You were right," I said. My gut was trying to tell me something. And then, finally, I cried. I cried for the marriage I thought I had, for the man I thought I knew, for the 12 years I'd invested in someone who threw them away for cheap thrills, for the future we'd planned that would never happen now. I cried until I had nothing left. Later, after I'd calmed down enough to talk, I told Lauren everything. She listened without interrupting, her face growing darker with every detail. 4 months, she said when I finished. "He's been doing this for 4 months, and you never suspected?" "I suspected," I admitted. "I just didn't want to believe it." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Divorce him, obviously, but beyond that, I have no idea." My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Please come home. We need to talk about this." I deleted it without responding. Over the next few days, the texts kept coming. Apologies, explanations, please. I ignored them all. Lauren let me stay in her spare room, and I took sick days from work because I couldn't face going in and pretending everything was fine. Marcus called. I didn't answer. He showed up at Lauren's building. I didn't go down. He sent flowers to my office. I threw them away. Finally, a week after I'd walked out, I sent him a single text. "I'm filing for divorce. Have your lawyer contact mine." His response came immediately. "Please don't do this. We can work through this. I'll do anything." You should have thought of that before you cheated. It was a mistake. I was stupid. But I love you. Our marriage is worth saving. I stared at that message for a long time. And I realized something. He didn't love me. Maybe he had once, but not anymore. Because if he loved me, he wouldn't have done this. If our marriage was worth saving to him, he wouldn't have risked it for cheap affairs. No, I typed back. It's not, and you don't. Goodbye, Marcus. I blocked his number. The divorce process was brutal. Not because he fought me, he didn't. He gave me everything I asked for without argument, like his guilt could be assuaged by being generous with assets. I kept the house. I kept most of the savings. I kept my dignity. What I didn't keep was my trust in people, or my belief in happy endings, or my ability to sleep through the night without replaying that scene over and over. I threw away the bedding from our room. I donated the couch where he'd entertained her. I repainted the walls. I couldn't erase what happened, but I could erase the reminders. Friends asked if I was okay, and I learned to say yes, even when I wasn't. Co-workers who didn't know about the divorce would ask about Marcus, and I learned to say, "We separated," in a tone that didn't invite questions. My mother, when I finally told her, cried and raged and wanted to drive over to confront Marcus. I talked her down. There was no point. He knew what he'd done. My anger wouldn't change it. Lauren stayed by my side through all of it. She helped me pack up Marcus's remaining things and drop them at his new apartment. She sat with me during the worst nights when the loneliness felt crushing. She reminded me that this wasn't my fault, that I hadn't failed, that I'd been a good wife to a man who didn't deserve me. "You're going to come out of this stronger," she said. "I don't feel strong. I feel broken." Broken is just the step before rebuilt. 6 months after I found those wine glasses, the divorce was finalized. I stood in court while a judge declared my marriage officially over, and I felt nothing. No relief, no sadness, just emptiness. Marcus tried to talk to me after. "Can we get coffee?" he asked. "Just to talk?" "We have nothing to talk about. I just want you to know that I'm sorry, that I've been going to therapy, that I understand now what I threw away." "Good for you," I said flatly. "I hope your therapy helps you, but it doesn't change anything for me. I know, I needed you to know that you were right, about everything. I was selfish and cruel, and I destroyed the best thing in my life." "Yes," I agreed. "You did." He looked at me like he expected something more. Forgiveness, maybe. Or emotion. But I had nothing left to give him. "Goodbye, Marcus," I said, and I walked away. I heard through mutual friends that he and the girl from that day, her name was supposedly Melissa, tried to make a relationship work. It lasted 3 months before she dumped him. Apparently, once the thrill of the affair wore off and reality set in, she realized he wasn't worth it. I took a petty satisfaction in that, not because I still cared about him, but because it proved that what he'd thrown away our marriage for was nothing substantial. Just shallow excitement that faded as soon as it was tested. As for me, I'm still rebuilding. A year later, I'm still in therapy, still working through trust issues, still having moments where I question everything about that relationship and wonder what was real. But I'm also standing on my own. I got a promotion at work. I started taking painting classes. I redecorated the house to suit my taste, not our compromised taste. I learned to be alone without being lonely. I went on a few dates. Nothing serious. I'm not ready for serious. But it felt good to know that I could still attract someone, still connect with someone, still laugh over dinner, and feel that flutter of possibility. The house feels like mine now, not ours. Mine. My space, my rules, my life. Sometimes I think about those wine glasses, about walking in and seeing that evidence of betrayal laid out so casually, like he'd gotten comfortable enough to be careless, about how one small detail, the fact that I don't drink red wine, unraveled everything. If it had been white wine, would I have questioned it? Would I have assumed he'd just poured himself a glass and left one out by mistake? Would I have walked upstairs with no suspicion and caught them anyway? Or would they have heard me coming and hidden the evidence? I don't know, and it doesn't matter. The truth would have come out eventually. It always does. What I do know is this. I trusted completely, and that trust was betrayed. I believed I knew someone, and I was wrong. I thought I had a solid marriage, and it was built on lies. But I survived it. I'm surviving it still. And someday, maybe, I'll trust again. Maybe I'll love again. Maybe I'll build something new with someone who actually deserves the effort. But right now, I'm just proud of myself for walking away, for not accepting his apologies or his explanations, for not convincing myself that 4 months of cheating was forgivable because we'd been together for 12 years. I'm proud of myself for choosing me, because in the end, that's what it came down to. A choice. Did I choose to stay with a man who'd betrayed me repeatedly, or did I choose my own dignity and self-respect? I chose me. And honestly, that's the only new beginning I need. The wine glasses are long gone now, thrown away with the rest of the evidence of that day. But I kept the lesson they taught me. Pay attention. Trust your gut. Don't dismiss the small details that don't add up. And never, ever accept less than you deserve just because it's comfortable. I came home early and found 2 glasses of wine, but I don't drink red. That detail saved me. And now I'm saving myself.